Jim O'Hagan.
No,
Nope.
this is not my show. This is, well, yeah, well, okay.
That is.
There's a few of us here, so it's 6:10 in my time. So again, I'm talking to you all from the future, and I wanted to say that this is a completely thrown together session. This is not something that is well planned. I was contacted yesterday and said, hey, we had somebody drop out. Can you do something? I said, well, I have this Esports EDU chat that we do on Thursday afternoons or nights, depending on where you are. Or in the case of Gilad, if he shows up morning in Israel. So this is an opportunity because I know there's a lot of people here who are new to Esports EDU or Esports in general in schools. And after the conversation is done here today, what do you do? How do you connect with other people? Where do you find them? Where are your resources? So the great place to start is the Thursday night Esports EDU chats. So this is where we're going to kind of start here and give a kind of a very brief overview about kind of the supports that you may have available. And then at 4:30 California time, well, we'll do maybe a couple minutes before, we'll do a very quick transition over to Twitch. So you can see what a Twitch experience is like, see what the conversation is like, find out that it is serious topics, but it's also fun stuff to talk about. We cut it up. We have some really great people here. And one of my co-hosts is here with us, Miss Carrie Linden, who is a California native and lives down in the Santa Barbara area. So Carrie, I'll let you do a little intro of yourself. You're muted. Like we've never done online meetings.
You know, I've been offline for like a week, so you know that's my excuse. Anyways, I'm Carrie Linden. I go by the Chalk Muju on Twitter. I am an ex-middle school teacher, taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade combined. I used a lot of video games and tabletop RPGs within the classroom to deliver curriculum, as well as just do team building and community building. So did a lot of that. I've got my esports management certificate through UC Irvine. I work for Liminal Esports Snowbright Studios. I'm the communication specialist there. So I've got my fingers in a lot of little things. I'm also the parent of a competitive gamer. So.
And Carrie and I are it was so surprising just to be on a panel today and you weren't there. I felt so exposed. Like I just felt
I'm sorry.
Like our world was not complete because it seems that Carrie and I always, even though we've never actually physically met, though we've been in the same city before at the same event at the same time, we have not met. So this is kind of nice for us. And the Esports EDU chat is made up of a collection, if you will, of people. So if you're thinking about, like, again, where do we go for resources after this? Now, I will say that Mr. Kevin Brown, who's here as well, he is a person who lurks in the chat on a regular basis. Oh, yes, you do lurk. You are a classic lurker, a person who gets things started, gets people riled up in chat. But the network of we call them co-hosts, because, well, there's usually 4 or 5 of us there. I think 5 is the max that we've had. I don't think we've hit 6 or 7 yet. But we have an amazing group of people, and I want to share this slide really quickly with you all. So if you, and I'll put the link right here into the chat, if I can get back to the screen that does those things. All right, let me just stop this for a second. Let's do this. I will type this here. That's where we're going. So you can look at it for yourself. This is the amazing network of contributors that we have had to the Esports EDU chats, which originally started as an online Twitter chat. And if you've not done an online Twitter chat in a while you're following a hashtag, it can get a bit unwieldy, especially when you were trying to do things over the span of a half hour. And when COVID hit this summer or spring, Carrie and I spent a lot of time conversing online, and we decided to suck it up. Let's just try to take this thing online and see what we can do with it. So we did, and it exists now in several different forms. So the most conventional form to consume this media is through Twitch. And then again, if you have not used Twitch before, that's okay. The other places that you can find the Thursday Night Esports EDU chats now is through Periscope on Twitter. We also put it up on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So you can contribute to the conversation on all those different platforms. You can chat within those platforms. And the nice thing about what we're doing through our service using StreamYard is we can see all the chat in one place, except for LinkedIn. For whatever reason, the LinkedIn chat doesn't come back into us. But the amazing people that you see here. So again, in this link here, you'll find a link that'll take you to the Twitch channel. But you'll see Samantha Anton. Now, if you don't know who Sam Anton is, she is the COO of NASEF, and she is an amazing community organizer in the NASEF community. Jarrell Batak, who is also with NASEF and Orange County. Jarrell's official title is what, Kevin? Do you remember?
Is it curriculum developer, curriculum coordinator? But it's not what he does. Yeah,
but he's the fellowship coordinator as well. Correct. Too, for the program.
Correct.
Mike Dolly is the head of the Wisconsin High School Esports Association and a teacher in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. We have Mr. Chris Fryer. He is a streamer. I won't say he's a professional streamer, but he's somebody who is educationally, I guess you could say, focused, interested in the EDU community, not an educator. Miss Angelique Giannis. If you are not following this woman, she needs to be followed. She is a star in the making. She's at the Helix High School down in San Diego, which is a charter school. So yeah, it's charter, right? Or it's not alt ed, it's charter. So she is doing a lot with things like Among Us in the classroom, using things to teach like persuasive speaking. Ms. Danielle Johnson, she heads up TechSEF, which is the Texas State Scholastic Esports Federation. It is their state nonprofit. AJ Jones, Ashley Jones, she's a coach at Park University out in Kansas City, Missouri. Dr. Rachel Cohort is a psychologist who studies gaming and research, and she lives up in Canada, Miss Carrie Linden, of course, who is here, as you see here. Mr. Reverend Bradford Harris, as we call him on the chat, which that is a funny story and how he got named that, because he is not a reverend, but when he says his name very quickly, it sounds like it, and I took it as that, and it's stuck ever since. He's also down in Houston, Texas. There, of course, there's myself, Mr. James O'Hagan, and there's Gilad Ravid. He is in Israel, and I know we were expecting him to be here, but again, the chat is free-flowing, so yes, we do get into topics over the span of approximately an hour. Sometimes we go longer. Actually, lately, it feels like we've always been going longer, but it is meant to be interactive. So while there are going to be people who are going to come in and out of the chat, the community is still noticed while we are talking about topics. So as things come up, especially if there's topics you want to discuss or you feel needs attention, those things get thrown in the chat, and then we make it part of the conversation. Also, the easiest way to keep engaged in the community is if you follow the hashtag esportsedu. So if you are an educator who is looking to expand your reach into the field, or you want to get good feedback, because I know I have an alert set up on the esports edu hashtag. I know Angelique does, because that's how she sees a lot of things. Do make sure you set up an alert for that hashtag. It has stuck pretty well to being an EDU community thing. That's really the hardest thing. And I don't know, Carrie, if you find this as well too. The hardest thing when you're first getting into this is just how overwhelming all of this can be.
Yeah, I would agree. I think when you're first getting into it, it's finding the right people to follow. You're looking at an industry that is still sort of growing exponentially at a pretty good clip. So there's a lot of people that are getting into the industry that will come out and say, hey, look, I'm the expert. I know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know esports and edu, you may absolutely believe them, and then when you're sort of too far in, realizing that the information that they're giving you isn't going to work in the education space. So I think making sure that you're finding the right people to follow. When you start reaching out to people, if they're giving you contacts and all the contacts are corporations, it should be a warning flag. If they're giving you contacts and they're doctors, they're psychologists, they're other educators, that's when you kind of want to start paying attention and listening, and just start following people and engaging in the conversation. I think it takes a little while to get your feet underneath you, but you'll figure out who has your students' best interest in mind and who is looking at a financial bottom line that they need to meet, because the priorities there are remarkably different.
And that's something that we've been finding, especially recently, as there is a rush to get into this space. Because the education market, those of you who are involved in the education esports sphere may realize that while the bubble may pop, if you will, at the professional level of esports or at the recreational level, for us, we look at esports in a completely different way. Hopefully you're looking at it as a way to connect with your students, to engage them in school. So even if the professional scene were to go away, I feel like we're not a pipeline to the pros. So there is, again, this school budgets are usually relatively solid. I mean, yes, we do have deficits. I know my school district, we repeatedly have deficits. It feels like I just operate in that every year we're going to have less money. I never expect that we're going to have any more. But it is still relatively stable. So what we've been finding is that there's a lot of these professional companies who see just esports at schools and think that they can take their model and put it down to our level. Something to consider as these companies reach out to you. A couple of questions to ask. Number one, ask them about their student data policy. Like, what are they, even if they're giving stuff away to you free, what are you doing then with my students' data? What is the expectation of student data use by your company? Is that how you're going to monetize this for your company? The other thing too is there's a lot of really interesting investments that are being made, a lot of interesting connections that are being made. Carrie, maybe you have some thoughts into that you've seen.
Yeah, it's really important whenever somebody reaches out to you to Google them thoroughly and find out, essentially vet them. What we're seeing right now is a lot of people, especially that are trickling down from the pro level or who are starting out with the pro level sort of in mind, trying to create this pipeline. If they don't have the connection to EDU to begin with, they often have connections to other things that are potentially problematic for an education standpoint. So we're seeing a lot of people reaching down to partner with schools, but they have a background in online gambling or medical marijuana, or they're taking sponsorships or funding from professional streamers that are highly problematic. So you really need to look at, who these organizations are, who are the people involved, and if that is something that can actually even partner with your school. A lot of schools are going to have policies that prevent you from partnering with anybody that deals in tobacco products, any sort of illicit products, alcohol, gambling, firearms, weapons, any sort of explicit content. So that's going to completely eliminate, unfortunately, quite a few people that are currently reaching out to schools right now. So definitely do your due diligence, because a lot of these offers just look too good to be true. And when you actually do a quick Google, you find out they are. All the websites that are attached to them, if your students looked at that or your school board looked at it, you'd be getting into some pretty serious trouble. So make sure that the organizations you partner with actually represent, the framework of your school and your program. And
no, you're not seeing twins. You are seeing Gilad, who has shown up from Israel, and it is through 2:30, 3:30 in the morning.
It is. But I'm wide awake, actually.
So this is one of the great things about the Esports EDU chat is that
bada bing, bada boom, Mr. Worldwide as I step in the room.
When Gilad shows up, we are getting the international flavor, the international flair. It is nice to have, we bring in insights from around the world. And Gilad, tell them a little bit about what you do in Israel.
Thank you. Just to continue on what Carrie said, first of all, just on a side note, an 8-year-old got approached by an esports team today with this week with a three. Did you hear about that
Oh yeah,
thing? So just wanted to mention that.
$33,000 a year.
Yeah, just kind of want to throw that example out there. What I do? Well, I'm an educator. I'm an education technology specialist actually. But I combine it with gaming and esports, which are my passion. I've been a gamer longer since I've been an educator. I have a nice example for you, James, regarding the way the kids interact inside the game can affect a community. So can I present to you or like something that like a message I got today?
Well, we only have a couple of minutes, but this is a good teaser for something we can
Okay.
take over, because what we're gonna do here in just a
Yeah.
few minutes, because we're at 6:25. We need to transition over to Twitch. Okay. And you can choose to follow the conversation over there. You can follow us over there, or maybe you need a little bit of time before the 5:10 closing thing. But we will make sure I have an alarm set, so at 5:10 everybody will say, hey, you can go back over. We'll continue our conversation at the Esports EDU chat. I see Reverend Bradford Harris is popping in. Actually, I'm looking at the thing right now. But if you feel like being part of the Esports EDU conversation tonight, feel free to head over to, and I'm going to put my share screen up here right here. Feel free to head over here right now, and we will get started in about 3 minutes and 21 seconds with the Esports EDU chat. And then Gilad gave us a nice tease to get us over there for tonight. So thank you for being here for this brief, weird, fast put together session. Please do not hold it against us. If you were totally disappointed with this, I am sorry. Trying something new. We'll see how this goes. So I'm out of here, and that's it.
James, if the LinkedIn founder has a nice phrasing that he says that if you're not ashamed at the first product, when you launch your first product in its first version, you launched it too late. So you tried something out. I don't know what you tried, but the attempt is all that matters.
And what I think I'm going to have to do is like stop my video and mute myself, but leave this. It's going to be a funky tech thing. We're going to see if this works.
You want us all jumping over to StreamYards, right?
Yep. You guys jump into StreamYard.
James, if it helps, I have that slide as well. I can share it if you'd like.
Yeah, please go ahead and do that, and then I can get out of here. So thank you very much.
Uh-huh. Hi, Josh. Just FYI, they're on a Twitch stream right now. So if you would like to join them there, you're more than welcome to. The link is up on the screen.